Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the What Topic podcast. Fuck's sake! Cut this section out. Cut this section out. We've got. It's not a drill. Not a drill.
Abort.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the What Topic podcast with your hosts, Josh Deakin at Miss Josh Deakin.
And your co-host, Owen Burkett at Owen.Burkett.
And yes, we are back again after... It's funny, actually, I say it like this because when we spoke last episode, we was like, oh yeah, we're on a roll. We've been in like 4 episodes back to back. Not uploaded for 2 weeks.
It just seems like the divine intervention was like just in place every time. So
whenever we say something's been going well, we're like 2-week break.
Yeah, no, I mean it's probably a good thing just because we can, we've got a few things to talk about. So there's always a silver lining to everything.
Yeah, I'd say in the event of that, there actually has been a butt ton. I will use those words very much so. Butt ton of news recently. It does feel like a world away from the last episode. Obviously we was talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier finishing, I think, and all the other things in between. We spoke about the Academy Awards. We're not going to talk about the Academy Awards, just for those who are wondering. Really wasn't too much to continue to talk about, like that we haven't already mentioned. I think, Owen, as you put it quite clearly when I said to you about it, you was like, yeah, we pretty much have kind of covered all bases. Like, you kind of predicted which was going to win, and majority of the ones that you said were going to win did win, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I'm really glad that Nomadland won Best Picture, and then Chloe Zhao became the second woman to win Best Director. And then Frances McDormand won her third Oscar as Best Actress.
Wow. Didn't Chloe get like her internet history, like anything to do with her blocked in China, right? I think I heard about that.
I don't know, but then again, I think she's very much against of China's censorship, and so, but. Hey, I mean, like I said, good for her, and she's also got something else to look forward to, the upcoming Eternals later on this year. So, yeah, like I said, congrats to everyone that that won the awards. But yeah, it was a bit weird just because it was not filmed at the usual location due to obvious reasons. But I actually enjoyed it. I watched it all the way through. So that's that.
Sweet. Yeah, I also watched the other day. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched bits of it. The Brit Awards. I think it was on the other night.
I heard about it, but I didn't. I haven't seen it.
The one thing that I take away from that, though, that's interesting. Like, yeah, congratulations to everyone who won. Obviously, they're not listening to this, but yeah, you say it for the sake of reason, but. I think that, as I remember watching the start, and Jack Whitehall was literally explaining that the Brit Awards was one of the tests, basically working out whether people can come back to normal events again. And from by all accounts, it seems to have gone well. I mean, one of the biggest things that I really liked was the fact that they went with their audience being pretty much dominated in a good way, obviously, by NHS key workers, which is amazing. I love that. I think that the NHS have done more than enough to qualify to have their own free pass access to a big event like the Brit Awards, and the first one back after COVID being such an overturner of life.
No, it is really cool, like to actually give thanks, because the whole issue with NHS workers, clap Thursdays after, what was it, 8 o'clock that they did it.
Yeah, 8 o'clock every Thursday.
It was at 8 o'clock every Thursday. It was like, it's all good, well and good and all, but it just doesn't help them to get the actual recognition, like pay
A
rises
clap doesn't
or
get them up in the morning. A pay rise gets them up in the morning.
yeah,
Knowing that they're
exactly.
doing a job that is so strenuous. I mean, I have a friend. I won't say his name for the purpose of the podcast, but and obviously privacy. But my friend, who was supposed to be coming on a shoot with me yesterday, and he didn't come with me on a shoot purely because of the fact that he had to do CPR on someone on Friday. But he didn't even tell me whether they lived or died, and that puts in perspective for you just how difficult being a doctor, being a nurse, being any role in the NHS. Like you're a vaccinator, and you probably find it quite stressful as well when it's busy.
I don't think it's stressful, but it does take a lot of energy
It's a
um
taxing job.
to go through like each patient, whether you're doing admin or actually vaccinating people from yourself. And you're just trying to make sure that everything is cleaned after each vial that you use, and you have to make sure that there's the right dosage in syringe. And then you sometimes get patients that are not a fan of needles, so you're trying to calm them down. There's loads of things that you have to do during the day, and it's just tiring.
Mm.
And but do I enjoy it? Yeah, of course I do. Like I got a really good team. They're
It's
just so
rewarding.
supportive, and yeah, it's rewarding. And so, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, if the fact that with the NHS and the staff members like going around the clock, helping people during such a really tough time, like they just deserve to get like um the pay and the recognition they deserve. It's just, but unfortunately, that the government, it seems that making a yacht or a plane, the fact that they can't really go anywhere is just, it's yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the rules are basically like not enough yachts.
it's like, well, we need to to named after Prince Philip, um, and
Philip.
no, and then also that the plane that they want to repaint, despite the fact that they can't go anywhere, and then they decide to rebuff the briefing room, which was costed about what 20 million quid.
And
Was
like
that
two
right?
million of that was like microphones. I
Dude,
got that.
my
Remember, we made that point. Like the microphone that we're both microphones that we're both using don't even cost as much as their amount of money they
no,
spend.
it would like how many microphones are they using? Like what, three
Something like that.
or something like that? But yeah, that would come at yeah. Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
the quality. I mean, I've heard the quality of the microphones on the briefing just in passing. I obviously haven't watched the full briefing because I just can't be asked with them anymore. So their
No.
money's already been wasted. Their money, our money, I should say, being wasted. Taxpayers' money. Thank you. Thanks, Boris. Bozza. Not.
Yeah. Anyways,
Speaking of
on
Bozza, it's May 17th. He's on the
well, tomorrow
horizon.
will be May 17th. So, what does that mean for those in England, such as ourselves? Well, let me bring
Just to
this up.
clarify, by the way, guys, this episode that you're listening to now will be out the day that you can obviously go out and do hospitality again in the UK.
Yeah.
Something that we probably should mention: we're probably looking. I've said this to Owen a few times, I think before, but like he might have forgotten. But like I think that like Sundays or Mondays seem to be our very typical placement of time when the episodes come out. I think it wouldn't be out of the question that we look at recording for Monday for the next Monday every week potentially. At some point, we might find that it works best to do Sundays again, but Mondays we see a bit more people listening in on a Monday, so Mondays might give us a bit more flexibility. But obviously, that's something I just wanted to mention. But yeah, May 17th today, as you're listening.
Yeah. So, what's changing? So, like I said, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are going to have their own COVID restrictions and guidelines. So, I'm only going to go through the ones that are here in England. So, I'm going by what Simple Politics is saying on their Instagram page. So, in education, for example, for universities, all university and other higher education students can enjoy the pleasures of face-to-face actual in-person learning, which is a great thing because I've talked to a few students at work and obviously from fellow friends and all that. They said they struggled to learn very practical courses via Zoom, and it's just not the same way. And I can really attest for that. It's just there's certain aspects that if I studied film the way I did, 10 years ago, or just over 10 years ago, um, there's some bits like you could probably do on Zoom, like if you're talking about like film theory and everything else. But in terms of practical, like filmmaking, that would be probably the difficult part of it. That for at least for me.
It
So
just feel it just you just don't have that the physical element of the subject that you're learning, do you?
yeah, definitely. And the last thing they pointed out for the universities, it says it should be noted that most teaching in universities has finished for the year. Well, obviously,
No shit, Sherlock. Yeah.
yeah. So, but in schools, students will no longer have to wear masks. In schools and colleges, they should continue to do the social distance thing where possible, and staff should still wear masks in staff rooms and other communal areas unless exempt, obviously.
Hmm.
And that's that part. So the other part, which I'll get to. Okay, so the other things that are changing, such as hanging out, is up to 30 people. So just in case my 13s and 30s might mix up, but so it's 30, um, can meet outdoors, and it's the rule of six or two households of any size indoors. Children count towards the 30 and the six.
So
Or
basically, what they're saying is you can meet up with people outdoors up to 30, but you just can't take the party to the pub.
yeah, I mean you can so you now can meet indoors at restaurants and pubs, but they have to be the rule of six.
Yeah, so you basically have to spread your six out over about 5 tables.
Yeah. So there's a little bit that says what can they do? And the first part is hug, smooch, be visible, yeah. So
Oh,
hugging
would you like a
and
big smooch?
oh come here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's now allowed.
I think
So
most people have been still hugging anyway. Let's be honest.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing that, but anyways. So stay over at each other's houses or sneak off to a hotel.
I like that.
Um,
Sneak off to a hotel, yeah.
why not?
Why not go and have a
then,
bit of fun in the hotel? Because you're allowed to
uh,
now.
and we can go inside as we mentioned in the pub, a restaurant, cafe, bar, etc., etc. We can now go to the cinema, bowling, to the museum, soft play. It says not enough. How about the theatre, the match, the arcades, and the business event?
Business event.
Quote unquote business event. Yeah, and they also added for gyms that it says here that indoor sport and gym classes are back. So places like Pure Gym, I noticed on the app that you couldn't even book a class, but now because of tomorrow onwards, that they can now finally do that. So yeah, they've added a few other bits because they just made a post like a couple minutes ago. So it's basically breaking down all the points we made. So I'll just go over them really quickly. Rule of six or two households will apply indoors. Groups of up to 30 people can meet outdoors. Pubs, restaurants, and bars will reopen indoors with groups of up to six people or two households at a table per table. Hotels, hostels, and B&Bs reopen. They've mostly have been open, but the only exceptions they made is if you are a frontline worker or you're going there for work-related reasons. Other than that, they will not allow you to do that. But from tomorrow onwards, they can finally open up that a little bit. Overnight stays allowed within the UK in groups of six or two households. Reopening of cinemas, museums, children's indoor play areas, theatres, concert halls, and stadiums. No masks for secondary schools and college pupils. University students return to face-to-face teaching. Care home residents can have 5 named visitors. 30 people at weddings, receptions, and other events. Cautious hugging. And we should continue to social distance when not with friends and family.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they did mention about that. Apparently, this that they had a hug handy guide. So
Yeah.
I don't know. To be honest, like, I don't really hug anything more than a couple seconds or whatever.
Yeah,
So
the bit there was like a minute. Like, are you weird? I like the jokiness of that. I mean, I think that their hugging guide is supposed to be a tongue in cheek thing. It's not meant to be literal.
no, but I think because of everything, we still have to be COVID aware. We still need to uh maybe just limit the amount of time that we hug each person. But yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I'll say that's all well good news. Back obviously. We're not going to make much mention of it, but there has been speculation because of the Indian variant of the COVID virus. There might be a delay to the June 21st reopening date, but that has not been fully confirmed. So, I mean, I have heard of some people start to cancel their holidays and their weddings, knowing that we might not get to do large scale stuff after June 21st. But I think most people's expectations should be keep thinking straight forward, not thinking too far ahead. You know.
Yeah, I think I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it's still going to be very difficult to book anyway, just because we're still not sure what other countries are, how they're dealing with their own pandemic situation.
That's it.
I think at the moment, I think one of my friends has been trying to book a club or a bar for our 30th, and they all seem to be like very booked up, and I can only imagine that's going to be the same thing applied to people being able to wanted to go abroad.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'll say, to be honest, in my opinion, I want to go abroad this summer, but I'm more likely going to be going on a road trip in the UK. So it's going to be a staycation probably for
same,
me.
yeah. I think I might do a trip idea I want to do that is basically go to the Lake District, then Snowdonia, and then end up in Scotland somewhere, probably Edinburgh. So
That'd be nice, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's slowly but surely, restrictions are easing up, so there's a lot more things to do, which is a good thing because, like I said, I just bought my first cinema ticket since Wonder Woman 1984, which was back in December, I think.
Oh wow.
So I'll be finally going to watch Judas and the Black Messiah. I was going to watch it on VOD on Prime, but I thought to myself, do I really want to spend like 15 quid on renting it? And then my gut instinct saying just wait for a bit. And now cinemas are open, and now it's just costing me 6 quid instead. So
Happy days, isn't it? Happy days.
yeah, definitely. And then we can also look forward to future films like Black Widow and all the rest of the other films that we wanted to look forward to since last year.
Yeah. Okay, so also to talk about, Loki has been given a date change. It's now no longer coming out on the 11th of June, and it's not every Friday now. It's going to be June 9th, every Wednesday. And the reveal thing that happened, I think it was over a week ago now, so obviously it's not new news, but obviously we wanted to make a mention of it. Is obviously the fact that it's going to be it's very much a Loki thing. It is to change the date that he's going to be on, and like the position that he's in as a show. It's down to his nature, and obviously the infiltration of another trailer as well. That was good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what it's going to be like. But then we got so many other things. Like they've released a massive Marvel trailer.
They did. They did.
So they announced the titles of the upcoming Marvel series, which if I bring up, so obviously they showed a bit more stuff for Black Widow, which looks pretty cool.
Do you remember seeing that meme a few days ago saying, "Look at all this lineup in the next 2 years. What does the DC universe have to come?"
The Flash. That's about it.
Yeah, not to as Owen was saying a minute ago to me, because we paused the recording. I know you didn't even notice. And Owen said to me, "Well, let's not talk too much about Marvel." Yeah, we do talk a
Now
lot
we've
about
got back to
Marvel.
Marvel. So the titles of the upcoming Marvel films. So we've got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. That's coming up on July 8th, 2022.
Yep.
We got the Marvels coming out on November 11th, 2022. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, February 17th, 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that's coming out in May 5th, 2023. They still are announcing that the Fantastic Four, but that's still
To come.
yet to be given a release date. So yeah, yeah, and then obviously Ewan McGregor is currently filming stuff for the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series in here in the UK, I think.
Wasn't there a Disney Plus series from Star Wars just recently? I'm sure they just released one recently on Disney Plus.
The Bad Batch. I know
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. I haven't heard much about that. And let's have a look. Other bits and pieces like, oh well, if you're talking about Marvel, we'll talk about we'll talk about Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which is the sequel to 2018's Venom, which I was not a fan of. And
I'll just
this
say for the
one,
record, I didn't mind it as much, but then again, I'm not. I can be quite vocal about Sony's Marvel movies when I want to be.
well, the thing is, like, I thought the trailer for the first one just looked absolute dog shit, but then so I went to see it at the cinema, and I thought this is boring as fuck. It basically felt like a film that was made for the 90s or at least in the 2000s, and they just so happened to make it in the late 2010s.
It did give you a very Tobey Maguire year set film making kind of like look, but
Yeah.
it did have obviously a lot of the sort of technical looking things that make it a modern film, so it wasn't completely a write off. I don't think. I know a lot of people who did enjoy it. Like I didn't hate it, but I wasn't
Oh no!
wow about
Well,
it.
I mean, it made $800 million, so
It
that
did
obviously
well.
therefore it obviously got a sequel greenlit, and so we got this one, which is directed by Andy Serkis, who, as many of you know, as the actor who played Gollum and Caesar,
Oh wow.
and he was Snoke in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. So yeah. So he did direct a film before. It was called Mowgli, that was originally going to be distributed in for Warner Brothers, but then Warner Brothers decided to drop it, and then Netflix bought it. So
Ah.
so this will be his second film as a director.
Oh wow.
But yeah, the trailer is just meh. That's just all I'm going to
If there's
say.
one thing that I think we can take from this, I do think that the voice actor of Venom deserves a lot of credit because he's got a great voice. He's like just like Eddie, and it's just like I love it. I love that. It's like someone's voice being like turned up to 11, but then also made like very sort of croaky, and it just adds that extra pizzazz. Like I think that's probably what is the saving grace for some of the first film, and hopefully will be for this film. But hey, we'll have to wait until that comes down the cinemas. Like I think we'll both probably see it and probably both review it, so you can expect a back and forth opinionation going on. Hopefully at some point.
Yeah. Also, sort of big entertainment news. Ellen DeGeneres
Oh god, that woman.
is ending her talk show next year. I don't know if they said
Is it next year or the end of this year?
blah blah blah. It's
I mean,
next
to be
year.
honest, I'm not surprised. She doesn't deserve to keep going away.
Oh man, like especially with the recent review of that,
Allegations and other
yeah,
things.
allegations with her, not just herself, but with some of the producers of the toxic working environment at the show, because it's just like it's so disheartening. Just because you watch the show and you think, oh, it's so laid back, it's cool, and this and
She
that,
comes off as such a fake woman.
and now, well, that's the thing. Like now, because of the recent reports from BuzzFeed, it just makes her look like she's just putting it on as a show to be liked, and it just seems like the reason they're ending it is because she just can't get away with it.
Yeah,
So
she's got all the money she needs now. She's pissing off, basically.
but yeah, now also in entertainment news, geez, I might as well just go on Screenfill just to get my news. But now with the there's the upcoming the Lord of the Rings series for Amazon, and Amazon has now said the huge $465 million budget for the entire series is due to the huge world building, but also they have said that in order to make its money back, they need a lot of subscribers to either remain with Prime or also get new ones as well.
Well, I mean, Amazon should really be trying to get trying to get through production of the Grand Tour quicker, because that's what's giving them the subscribers, I think, quite a lot as well. Because everyone who loves the Top Gear guys came over to Grand Tour on Prime Video, and obviously that was the big money spinner for many years. And it obviously, because they've gone to doing journey based ones now, where they're not doing more than 1 or 2 specials a year, it really makes it not worth paying like 70 odd quid a year. Or I mean, even if you're paying £49 as a student, like, are you really getting your bang for buck? Probably not, unless you're using Prime very regularly, which I do. So I guess I'm making my money back a bit. I think there's an argument for all that sort of stuff, but when it comes down to what is being offered to you, a lot of people don't even realise that Amazon Prime actually has one of the biggest libraries, if not maybe a tiny bit bigger than Netflix. And people think, really? Is it bigger than Netflix? And people probably forget that titles leave Netflix and all the services all at once. So if you follow your news quite regularly, you'll know that a lot of article writing newspapers like the Radio Times in the UK, for example, will like tell you what movies are going to be leaving this month or coming into this streaming service this month. Also, if you check out the various different streams of your different services like Prime, if you look at Disney Plus, they every Friday they put out a new thing that tells you what's new streaming, and it tells you whether it's part of like the Disney stuff or the Star content stuff, Marvel. So like obviously when, let's say, Loki comes in, it'll say on Monday or maybe even Wednesday, they might even put it out on their Instagram saying now streaming Loki, so that content's coming in. And obviously certain content leaves, and we all know that because it's obviously licensing. That's part of the reasoning why companies pay so much money for content. It's like why Netflix had Friends for so long, because they were paying the big bucks for it. They're probably paying, let's be honest, quite upwards of £500 million probably for it, I imagine, because of how much profit comes from that show being on that platform. And now it's obviously on HBO Max with the returning reunion coming soon. That's obviously been announced recently.
I'm not too sure about but mainly because like this is probably easy for me to say just because I'm not a fan of Friends. In fact,
neither am I, to be honest.
In fact, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think it's such an overrated show.
I think How I Met Your Mother is actually the better show.
I haven't watched enough of it to make an opinion on that, but
fair enough.
There was just things about the show just didn't like. I thought it was funny when I was younger, and as I grew older, I just went, "How was this funny?" Personally,
yeah, I get what you mean. Like it's like the funniness wears off.
Well, it's just not wearing off. It just feels dated. That's the problem.
I guess that's probably the case with a lot of shows. Some shows you garner more nostalgia for, and you go back and watch more often.
I understand like the whole nostalgia thing. And then obviously if you grew up the series, then obviously there's a lot more attachment.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not making a case for me liking Friends, because I'm not a Friends. I'm a How I Met Your Mother fan. I love the show. I'm one of those fans until you die kind of things. Like, sounds like proper soppy and weird, but I just think it's the more funnier show, and like you have so much good like story arc in it, and like there is an end goal where the show is going to end inevitably. So whereas Friends, like you didn't know when the end was coming. Like, not that you really want to know when the end is coming. Like, I think that kind of ruins the series for a lot of people.
It felt like a story that could just keep going on and on and on, and I think they all just pretty much got, sick of it. Like, not just sick of it in a negative way, but they just felt like they wanted to do other things. And it just honestly feels like this reunion is like they've got nothing going on at the moment, and and they probably got sick and tired of being asked like, when you're going to make another Friends. They
Yeah,
just kind of went,
yeah,
should we just do one special series for it, and that's it. So
yeah. For them, it'll probably be their big cash grab of the year.
Um, so that's that, and then the just a tiny bit of news thing. So I don't know if you've seen images, but Lily James as Pamela Anderson in the upcoming series Pam and Tommy, she looks insanely like Pamela Anderson.
Mm.
It's just crazy. Like I remember seeing, because obviously Sebastian Stan is playing oh, what's the guy's name? It's Tommy Lee. That's it. And yeah, I mean the you know the photo of Sebastian Stan is just looks like Sebastian Stan playing as that. But then I saw a picture of Lily James as Pamela Anderson, and I was like, that's insane. If you know what Lily James looks like, and then you look at her as Pamela Anderson, the transformation is crazy. It just looks
Yeah,
so insane.
it really is. You're right. Jesus, that's quite interesting. I'll say something else to mention as well. Update on the franchise. I think it's pretty much going to be a franchise now. Knives Out franchise. They've added some more add to their roster recently. Do you want to round them off?
Yeah, so if I bring it up, so the cast so far, so obviously Daniel Craig is returning as Bruno Blanc.
It'd be. I don't think it'd be as good without him.
No, not at all. Um, so originally they brought in Edward Norton
Hmm.
onto it. Excuse me. But they also got Catherine Hahn, if you know her from One Division.
Yep, Catherine
Uh,
Hahn.
and
She's
then
a
they
really good
brought
actor.
and they brought in Dave Bautista as Drax from the MCU, and Hinks in Spectre.
Hmm.
And also just it also revealed as Janelle Monáe is hired in, which, to be honest, that's a major bonus because I love Janelle Monáe. She's just absolutely gorgeous and a stunning talent. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
think
So
something to actually add on to the end of that. Actually, we were speaking about this. I think yesterday or earlier on. About Dave Bautista obviously saying that filming James Bond Spectre was a nightmare for him. This was on Screen Rant. This was as well.
yeah, so he revealed that the fact that he did it for 8 months, and he was going from one country to the next, and it was just like long shoots,
Logistical
and
nightmare. Yeah.
yeah, and it just felt, and honestly, like just even thinking about Spectre, like it's an okay film, but it just didn't feel as as solid as when Sam Mendes did it with Skyfall. And
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like we've said this a few times, I think, on the podcast, but and just in general, me and you, but like we feel like Christoph Waltz didn't get his full potential in the film, and Neve. I mean, Dave Bautista definitely way more. I think he didn't get. I don't think he got enough screen time because, like, you look at all the big Bond villains of the time. You know, you got Odd Job, you've got Jaws. Um, you just don't get like the same sort of like bad guy like henchman vibe anymore, and I feel like it's a shame really because you look at something like Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, they didn't really have much emphasis on the gadgets. They listened, it came back in Skyfall, but then
they were
Spectre
very
came out and they've ruined
yeah.
it
I mean,
again with something else.
like you said with the gadgets, like the gadgets in Skyfall, they felt a bit practical, with the the fingerprint
It was
gun,
cool.
and
I have to give that.
yeah. And then obviously I think what they tried to do with Spectre was like, okay, we'll up the humor, we'll
The humor was great. Don't
uh
get me wrong.
I was not a fan of some of the humor. I just thought they did it like Roger Moore too much a bit. I liked the humor in Skyfall because it was just it was natural feeling. But this
Oh yeah, where it's just like, oh, mummy, what happened to mummy? That kind of
yeah,
thing.
like
Like it's very creepy, but also very
it
funny.
was, that's the thing. It was like that was his personality. But in Spectre, it just felt like they forced the humor a bit too much.
Mm. When it
Um,
got serious though with Christoph Waltz, he had really good like the bit where the music builds up and he's like literally like making Swan Madeline Swan watch the video of his her father dying, and he's there looking up at her saying, "Don't look at
oh
it."
no, and even
That
and even
serious section was great with Christoph Waltz.
that was great. And then also, Sam Mendes did it again with Bond villain intros when um, Blofeld came into the room when we see him for the first time in Italy.
Mm.
And the room just goes silent and there's
It's
no
brilliant.
music, nothing. It's great. So there are like great moments in it, but it just didn't utilize it so well.
It's just like it's like a game. I feel like it's like a game of Jenga. Like you start off pretty well pulling out the pieces, but then when you get to the end, you're pulling away pieces that you're not even sure will take you through to the next point of the game.
And the thing that frustrated me was that, Blofeld is such a great thing, but the problem with my thing with it is that because of there was like franchise building, they wanted to interconnect with all. So basically it reveals that, everything that happened with Bond in the previous three films was all related to Spectre, which I just did not buy it. And
It
it
was a
just
little bit far fetched. Like I
it was a bit
understand it now. You look at the lore a bit more, but like it felt like it was very rushed.
it was not rushed. It just felt very lazy that they felt like, well, how do we make that Spectre as this intimidating force? Oh, I know. Let's make him like responsible for everything that happened with Bond.
I mean,
All right.
it's quite now that you say it like that, it's quite cliche. Yeah, I think
And then
the thing that makes it a bit more redeemable is the fact that like Blofeld basically is trying to, through the influence of C inside of government, is basically trying
I
to
don't
make
mind.
that
Yes.
surveillance network basically like this is the point they've been working. He says that we've been working to this for a long time.
Yeah,
And it's
I don't
good.
mind. I don't mind, stuff like that. That I can get behind. But to say that, with Silver and Green and Le Chiffre in the
The
previous
sheep, yeah,
films, like it just feels like it,
half
like it,
baked.
it, it basically just felt like, oh, I was responsible, and I was like, all right, okay, we didn't really establish this, but all right. And then also the thing that I really had an issue with is that fact that it made it out that Bond and Blofeld were sort of distant adopted brothers.
I mean that is a bit more believable because that was obviously part of Ian Fleming's books. That was true.
No, it wasn't.
No,
That no,
okay, I've been
no,
lied to then.
no. That's the thing. Like that has never been established in any of Ian Fleming's works.
Okay,
So
it's more of a film thing then.
it's a film thing. So the fact that the fact that Blofeld has had daddy issues,
Ooh.
I was like, for fuck's
I
sake.
mean, don't get me wrong. Like all that is like now that you put it like that, there's a lot of holes in all of it. The one thing I do
It,
like is the lyric. I need to say lyrics then, not music. Sorry. The script writing for a lot of Christoph Waltz parts, like the way he says, I'm the author of all your pain." The way he says it, like, sounds so sponge.
it's good. No, they did
Brilliant.
pick a good actor to play both Blofeld. I just think certain aspects of his character just did not work. And
They they weren't fleshed out enough.
mm,
I mean, if they was to do Spectre again for the fans, like a fan version edit of the film, like where maybe they refilm some parts. I mean, I don't see that ever happening, but it would be cool. Don't get me wrong. Like it's like how video games do like director's cuts of video games, or like producers cuts even.
yeah, but I am glad that he's coming back for No Time to Die. So
Yeah, we get to see him at the
that's
start.
that.
We've seen him with his big eye injury. That's
Mm.
that's still present. Like, and I think that in the trailer we just see a bit of him like saying, "Ah, Bond." What does he say? He's like, "So you come back," or something like that, right?
Yeah, or something on those lines. But yeah, I mean that's so yeah. But I mean, obviously with Knives Out, to be like, I love Ryan Johnson. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker, and even I liked his Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I that's not going to stop me from liking it. And Knives Out was a fantastic film. It had a great
Honestly, I've
screenplay.
watched it so many times since then. It's
It's a
brilliant.
it has a great screenplay, rightly deserved to get BAFTA and Oscar nominated for it. So
Mm.
yeah, so call me interested. I think Netflix has got another hit on their hands. So yeah.
Yeah, something else that I completely forgot about that I actually got on my iPad here. A news story from Screen Rant again, same one as this Dave Batista one. A few days ago, Agnes Harkness, so obviously the lady who plays her, the actor who plays her. It's been hinted that she might be in Doctor Strange 2 as the villain. So that'd be quite interesting because obviously we know Agatha. So it's not. Yeah, Agatha. That's it. She was really good. She was in WandaVision. A lot of people have been really fanning over her as a character and obviously her as an actor as well because she's got such a wide presence of like the enthusiasm, the the attention to detail to her character. Like she puts 110% into her role. Like I don't know how close to method you really want to say it, but like I mean
I
she's
wouldn't
not.
say method. I just think she really easily delved into the whole thing, and
I mean
it's also got.
she's got quite the atmosphere about her anyway. Post show and pre-show, I'd say. Like there was bits that in the documentary I think that where she was like saying that like it's difficult not to be too ecstatic and too like alive, like when you're not on the screen or like when you're doing your lines, you're like oh crap, I've got offline, ha 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 ha, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think she just really kind of just kind of went loose with it, the whole thing, and
It's good.
yeah, it's good. I mean, like I said, I mean, I just want to keep myself away from like sort of spoilers as much as possible, and yeah, I'm to be honest, I'm just looking forward to, if she comes back as in the future MCU either series or films. But yeah, yeah, I'm just excited.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Honestly, I think there is quite a lot of good things going on at the minute in the news of movies, video games as well. Obviously, you've just recently got the Mass Effect a Legendary Collection, right?
Yeah, I've so the two games I bought recently, which I've been looking forward to. So I bought the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which basically is a whole remaster of Mass Effects 1, 2, and 3,
Hmm.
and they're pretty much my like. I'm not usually a fan of RPGs. Like I can't for some reason get into like Borderlands, Fallout, and even The Witcher. But Mass Effect, I was able to just get into.
I think the
And
storytelling is very inviting, isn't it?
well, the funny thing is, Mass Effect, the I don't know about 1 and 3, but number two has been used as case studies in
Yeah.
major universities in Oxford and Cambridge for creative writing.
Oh
So,
wow. Yeah, Mass Effect
so
2 storyline is very gripping.
but the whole I mean, I've only played 1 and 2, so it would be interesting for me to go through number three with a fresh pair of eyes. Um, but yeah, it's just got really good reviews from critics that on it's just they're saying that there's a reason why it's considered one of the best, sci-fi RPGs. And I remember playing it when I had an Xbox 360, and I just can't wait to get back into it on the PlayStation 4. So yeah, the fact that Mass Effect 1 has been given a major upgrade since then.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to kind of delve into it because they made a very sort of notable changes which I've looked through. So it's just exciting to kind of see it, like to see different things that I may remember from last time. Yeah, and then the second game that I bought recently is Resident Evil Village.
Oh,
Um,
you bought it then?
I
Ah.
have, yeah, I pre-ordered it, so I got it from day one. I just haven't got around to playing it just because of either work or it's just
Yeah, you've been busy,
either one
mate.
or the other. But yeah, no,
Been busy hustling.
But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of Resident Evil, but I do like the Resident Evil games. Like I played one, two, well, I say two, but I say the remake of Resident Evil 2. I played four, five. I'm avoiding six just because I've been told it is just not worth it.
No.
And I played seven, and I've enjoyed pretty much most of them. It's just a great series. I love survival horror, so I'm really excited to kind of delve it back into the eighth entry of the series. So yeah, so
Yeah,
uh,
it's mad.
but
It's,
you've
I
seen
haven't played it.
you
No,
haven't played it,
I've
but
been
you have
watching.
seen.
I watched PewDiePie play it. Yeah, and I have
Yeah.
to say, with obviously spoiler free, it is a very well made game. There are points in the game that like I think the dialogue could be improved. I mean, I'm gonna play it through myself, so I haven't really. I've spoiled it for myself, but I haven't because like I haven't played the game myself. So I'm expecting to play that once my friend can come and join me again in a few days' time. I think we're going to play through Resident Evil 7 again just to kind of like refresh our minds because for those who don't know, you play as Ethan in Resident Evil 8. It's linked with Resident Evil 7, so that story arc is continuing. There is a lot of shock bits in the game. There's like a moment where you pick up a piece of paper that literally just tells you a big chunk of the storyline that you didn't think was interconnected.
Oh, the big shocker was so this is in the first trailer. So for those who haven't seen the trailer, skip like maybe a minute.
Mm.
But in the first trailer, it just shows Chris Redfield shooting Mia. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that comes right at the start of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it would be, but yeah, it was just like, oh, so you go all that for nothing in Resident Evil 7 to just me just getting shot.
All I
Okay.
say is don't count all your eggs in one basket just yet.
I know.
But
I
yeah, I
probably
mean
shouldn't.
the whole game itself, I think, is a Marvel masterpiece. A Marvel of a masterpiece. It's brilliant. Like there's so many well hit points. The voice acting definitely could do with a bit more oomph. The actors that they got in for the roles, fantastic. It felt like a film. It did. The more you watch parts of
The
it,
one that the character that's been getting a lot of talk about is was it Lady Demameska, I think. Like
yes,
the bit
the
the
reason why she's
big
been getting that much attention is because of I think a mod that people have done where they made her breasts more enlarged in the scenes.
they the funny well actually oh god, like she's even without doing that, her breasts are already quite hefty, but man, like as soon as people saw her, they were
She's
like
very
they,
Victorian like.
she's well, it's just like Victorian like, but then she's like the new Mr. X, where I did find out that there was a section where she starts stalking you. You have to fight. You have to hide. You have to like avoid her and this and
Yeah,
that. So, but yeah, it just
they really do get you with the jump scares in some places.
okay. But yeah, I did remember when I was playing Resident Evil 2. I mean, I knew about the whole, Mr. X and this and thing, but it was just having to play it was a little bit different. So it was like I was walking through, and then there's the bit where Mr. X comes into play. I literally went, "Oh fuck!" And then my brother like heard me saying, and you're like, "Oh, is Mr. X changed?" I mean, yeah, and I'm totally not ready for it. So yeah,
Honestly, so good.
I'm just looking forward to kind of getting that experience. And I just think Resident Evil is just like the fact they're still going. It's like just speaks volumes.
Oh
That
yeah, some people
that
are a bit miffed that Silent Hill has not returned yet, though. They've not
that's
given it the
frustrating
treatment.
because originally Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro
We're going to bring
were
it back,
going to
right?
make because that they had that demo on the PlayStation called PT.
Yeah, they did.
Um,
You're right.
and then the big reveal was it was called Silent Hills. But obviously Konami being a bunch of utter dicks, just thought, nah, we're not going to go forward with it. And so then Hideo Kojima made Death Stranding.
He
So
did. He did. Pretty mad,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there's a number of games that I'm looking forward to coming out later in the year because that's the thing about last year. Like, I remember me and my friend, like, we just talked about The Last of Us Part Two and and other sort of games that we were playing. It was just, I mean, if anything from this pandemic, like, just video games have been a major sort of thing that people were overcoming the sort of like it's sort of like they finally have added stuff that they can do, so they can either play a game or they can watch stuff on streaming services, or but yeah. So I mean, some of the games that I'm just sort of looking forward to. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look. See. I know there's one. So the reason why I'm quiet is I'm scrolling through because there's some games I'm like, no, 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 no. There's still quite a number of games like I either need to start or finish. I've got like Days Gone, I've got Horizon Zero Dawn. Luckily, the sequel of Horizon Zero Dawn is coming out on the PlayStation 4, not the PS, just on the PS5, which is a good thing. Basically, the PS4 seems to be doing really well, and also just because the PS5 is still like impossible to buy. I know it's a constant thing we keep saying, which I apologize for that, but it's just that's what it is. Like, I would love to have a PS5. I know one or two of my friends have got it. I just but the thing about the PS5 is like, and I've said this before, is like, they're still releasing games on the previous gen consoles, and so it's just there's no reason to kind of upgrade it if you really want to. That's it. Back for Blood. So it's from the creators of the guys who did the first Left 4 Dead. And
nice.
Yeah, so it's still the same mechanics. Like, it's a first-person shooter. You can have 4 friends in your team, and you have to go from A to B, and you just shoot, zombies, and you have special zombies, and I loved Left 4 Dead when it came out on the PS3 and the Xbox.
Left 4 Dead is a classic.
And the thing is, I do admit that when I heard about it, where it's basically you go from A to B in different chapters of the map, and that's it. And I thought that doesn't seem like it's going to have enough playthroughs, but I was so wrong, and I'm glad for it, because they had a thing called was it the AI director? Basically, it's not the same thing every time you play it. Like, they have different placements of zombies, and certain cars can go off at different moments. So yeah, if it's anything like, if Back 4 Blood is going to be anything like Left 4 Dead, which I can imagine it will be, then I'm so looking forward to it. And the good thing is it's cross-platform, so you can play with people that are playing it on the PS5 or PC or Xbox. So I think it's just going to be another major hit. And there's also Far Cry 6 and even the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, which I'm quite interested to check that one out, because I remember playing it on the PS2, and
sweet.
So that's that in terms of video games. I don't think there's much there to offer, but I can't wait to just dive into Resi Village and the Mass Effect trilogy again.
Something I want to mention before I think we'll wrap up for the podcast episode. I've just found this out on The Verge. I think you may have probably read about this already, but I think it's obviously worth mentioning in the podcast. Disney have announced that they are going to, with the return to theatres, they're going to be including a shorter 45-day theatre release window. So that means that stuff like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Free Guy will be the 2 first films to debut officially in cinemas on August 13th and September 3rd, respectively, that will hit cinemas 45 days after their release. So 45 days after the release in the cinema instead of the traditional 90 days. So that means 45 days after, so about a month and 15 or 14 days, give or take, you'll get to watch it on Disney Plus. So not bad. I actually think that's pretty good. It's obviously following in the footsteps of Warner Brothers with its release to return to theatres in 2022, featuring a 45-day release window. Paramount has also said that the upcoming blockbuster films like Mission Impossible 7 will get a 45-day window. while smaller movies will have a shorter 30-day window, and Universal has signed deals with both AMC and Cinemark in America, with smaller movies with openings less than £50 million domestically that can hit paid video services after just 17 days, while bigger movies that open to bigger numbers can be paid on paid video services for 31 days. So yeah, that's a pretty landmark big change. I'd say, considering that Warner Brothers was basically starting the trend not long ago, basically saying that all their films are going to come out on HBO Max and the cinema, and obviously a lot of directors weren't very happy about that. So this could be the tide changing as a whole again. Streaming services reacting to the outcry of people that still want the cinema to be just as a big thing, and obviously COVID changing globally as it's been doing for the last year, proving that things can change and things can get better. So yeah, we come out at the other end, instead of only 90 days like we used to, we've gone down to 45 days, so there has been a bit of a bonus actually in the end.
Yeah, well, the fact is, like, going back to the whole thing with vaccinated people, we're going through quite a number of people.
Oh yeah, we're vaccinating. I mean, we've done over 35 million now, I think, in the UK.
We're now,
the first
something
dose.
like that. But we're now, so we've now gone from the people the age 40 group, who sometimes get a bit of late 30s or so on. But now apparently, according to I don't want to mention his name, but a certain someone in the government has said that 35s and over will now get the vaccine. Yeah. So we're actually going through it quite quickly. So if in another month or two, you'd have been getting yours if you hadn't got yours for the if I wasn't working, then yeah, give it like another few weeks or a month, then I would have got my first vaccine. But then, funny enough, I'll in about a couple of weeks' time, I'll get my second dose. So yeah.
So yeah, the upper theme of this is that things are getting better, things are improving. We've got new games, new TV shows, films, a lot coming out. Everything is on the up. Obviously, apart from the Indian variant, obviously that has a bit of a. There's definitely a little bit of a thorn in our ways on that one potentially.
We're still a bit cautious on that potentially arriving on our shores, so we're keeping things, we're keeping an eye on it. So, but hopefully it won't. Become much of a concern. So just fingers crossed it will stay the way it is that is currently going, and next thing we'll know it, we'll soon not be out of it, but it will be a lot less restrictive than it
exactly. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us again for another episode of the What Topic podcast. It's been a very different sort of episode today. We've kind of like rounded off a lot of news stories, so it's been really, you could say it's a bit more of a catch-up episode really. So obviously we'll be back to some sort of regularity of news that's not from a few weeks ago, a few days ago. But yeah, in any case, of course, we have been your hosts as always. I've been Josh Deakin at Mr. Josh Deakin.
And I'm Owen Burkett at Owen.Burkett.
And until next time, we'll keep saying it still. Stay safe, wear that mask until you're told not to, and take care.
Yeah, see you then. Take care of yourselves.
See ya. Bye-bye.